Discover Help presents Stress-Free Living with Ray Samich and Mr. Stress-Free Ratanjit S. Sandhi. This audio program is an unscripted and unrehearsed conversation between Ray and Ratanjit. It is shared with you in hope of adding value to your life. We encourage you to listen to this program in its entirety to receive the full impact of its message. Sit back, relax, open your heart, mind, and soul to this edition of Stress-Free Living.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Stress-Free Living. I'm Ray Samich, and I'd like to introduce you to my longtime dear friend, colleague, brother, and co-host, Ratanjit Sandhi. Ratanjit, how are you today?
Wonderful, Ray. How are you?
Excellent. Thank you. Always better on these mornings when we get together with not only you, but also with our guests that we invite to join us on our live Zoom group call. And if you'd like to be a part of that, so we can talk with you during the breaks and after the show, even before the show a little bit, we'd love to have you do that. Just contact us through email, through our Facebook channel, through our website, and we'll be happy to fill you in. I also want to let you know that our YouTube channel has been recently updated. We now have over 60 of these one-hour programs on there. Pretty much a collection since the pandemic started, which is when we started going to this format and including the Zoom calls. So if you would like to catch up on any of the topics that we have covered over the last couple of years, they're all out there and available to you. Just do a search on YouTube at Stress Free Living Radio, and you'll see, like I said, about 60 different shows. Ratanjit, at the speaking of our Zoom visitors and our great guests that join us on that, after last week's show, to kind of give a little history here, we did a show on unlearning our learning, trying to figure out if we are capable of disregarding what we've learned to learn new things. And that kind of led us to unhabiting our habits, because we found out that many of the things that we learn become habits, and they truly become part of who we are. And at that point, it's not really about unlearning our learning, it's more about unhabiting our habits, to coin a brand new phrase we think we invented. But then we had a discussion after that show, and it turns out we got into a discussion how life has changed around us. Maybe our culture has changed, and winning isn't as important as participating and just trying. And the perception is, even let's give all the kids on the team a participation trophy. They don't have to win. And that's one of the habits that we've gotten into, is just settling for mediocrity and not necessarily looking for more. And as part of that, we said, would we be mediocre? Would we fall into our habits less easily if we had something that we knew we were good at? If we could figure out that this is really who we were designed to be and what we were designed to do, if we could find that out, would we have a better life, be less mediocre, be less bored with the mundane and with the habits that we've picked up, and really excel? So that's the topic of today's show, with a quick background on it. How can we figure out, hopefully at an early age, but at any age, what we are good at?
You know, people always say that if you can find what you are good at, you never have to work any one day in your life, because it becomes fun. So,
Right.
Because you like to do what you are good at. But again, ultimately, if we are good at, supposing I'm good at mathematics or something, I go get a PhD in mathematics and I start teaching mathematics. I love mathematics. Or or if I am good at marketing, and if I do a PhD in marketing and get very famous in marketing, suddenly I would become a head of the department of marketing in a company, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you look at the CEO, what is she good at?
Everything.
So the CEO has every head of the department better qualified than her in that particular subject. So whether
That's
it is
true.
whether it's marketing, finance, or manufacturing, or research, or accounting, or you name any of those things, and every department has a better knowledge than her. But why she is a CEO? So she hasn't learned what she is good at.
Okay. I thought you were going to say she's a little bit good at everything,
A little bit
but
of
you're
good.
saying she's not really good at anything. Okay.
So
She's good at managing people, right?
not necessarily,
No? Okay.
not necessarily.
Is she good at delegating? Delegating work to all the people who are smarter than her?
Well, you have to get ultimately a person who can bring people together under one same umbrella has a very riveting, exciting mission. So these people all come under that. They are, you heard of this story, MAD, MADD, mothers
Yep.
uh,
Against drunk driving.
drunk driving. So
Right.
this lady whose daughter was killed while going to church by a drunk driver. So normally she was had an ordinary job or ordinary person, and nothing excited her. And suddenly she got a mission to save other people from drunk drivers. So as a default, she formed this nonprofit organization, and it had passed so many laws which has actually saved so many lives by drunk drivers.
Mhm.
So see, what is she good at? According to you, what is she good at?
Well, that's a good example of, I think, finding what she's good at. She's good at getting on a particular project and seeing it through to completion. I
No,
mean, she was motivated to finish a project.
so she did not know anything about nonprofit organization. She did not know
Right.
how to get people connected. She did not know anything about politicians. So she has to learn all that, and everything basically compelled her mission, her basic mission, which is compel her. So normally people who have done phenomenal things in leadership ended up having a mission. So what was Mahatma Gandhi good at?
These are difficult questions you're asking me. And I'm supposed to ask you questions. So we've got this all wrong. We've got to change today. Let's start again. Mahatma Gandhi was a brilliant negotiator. I mean, he could talk to people and stifle them, sometimes by silence. But I mean, he was really good at getting things accomplished.
Basically, he spoke the truth. When he was put in front of a judge says, "Okay, you are penalized $100, pay $100, and we'll set you free." So he says, "I'm not going to pay $100. So imprison me." So he defied everything against basically slavery. And once that became a mission of his, he became very powerful. So until we acquire a mission, see, there are too many things. There is a skill-based, knowledge-based. If you are good at certain skills, you are a musician, you love music, you play very good music. So yeah, those skills are always going to be there. We are naturally gifted with certain skills. We are gifted with certain outlook. We are gifted with, because every human being is very uniquely designed. Nature has never duplicated anything. So if you look at a leaf of a same tree, you cannot have two leaves identical. Their sizes are different. So that is why out of 8 billion people, we are reaching almost 8 billion people population, everyone has a different fingerprint. Everyone's eyes are different. Everybody's pictures. So even those twins, which are identical, they are different. So nature has never duplicated. So everyone is a unique masterpiece. So sure, each one, a certain amount of gift which is given to us, we do certain things better than others, right? So ultimately, those things don't really make you real successful until you basically, you are going to fail because of not your strength, but because of your weaknesses. Until we notice our weaknesses and make them into our strength, we will never succeed in life. So many people who are very good at certain things end up having a mediocre life.
So let's take the musician. Let's talk about that as a case study here, because I happen to know a lot of musicians who are extremely gifted, extremely talented, and many of them did pursue a career in music. Many of them went out to New York, or they went to Las Vegas or Los Angeles or whatever, because they were really, really incredible musicians, maybe great vocalists or piano players or guitarists, and combination of those. And I honestly don't know any of them that succeeded in that. All of them ended up doing so-so, playing just like you could play around the local area. And then they came home and gave up what they thought was going to be their career path, what they thought, and they truly were excelling at, and they didn't make it, and we say, well, you didn't get your break. You weren't at the right place at the right time. That person that you needed to help you get through a door, you never happened to meet that person, or whatever it is, and they give up. And then they say, okay, forget that dream, forget that career path. Now I have to be a real person and go to work. I can't be a musician like I thought I could be and play my life away, which is kind of a dream for most musicians. When you talk to the musicians who do make it, they say they're living their dream because they are able to perform on stages around the world and get paid for it and become a celebrity, and they're doing what they love. So I think that's a really good case study. We could break it down to a whole lot of other things, but why, if God gave them that talent, if they really are that excellent, and they further refine it, they continue to grow and learn with it and take lessons and study it and practice and do all the right things, why wouldn't it be logical that something they're really good at could then propel them to have a successful career doing that? Why doesn't that work out for those people?
It's interesting. A lot of books have been written talking about find your passion, find your passion, find your passion, and you will be successful. But the irony is that we are finding our passion either in a skill or in a worldly knowledge or in technology or any of these things, they always change. We had to find a passion which never changes, which always remains the same. So until we are part in my pseudo self, my artificial self, my ego, I will only find these passions which are unstable, temporary, and they are not going to carry me. The first thing is that you are looking at finding what I am good at, but you don't even know who you are. First point is we have to find ourselves. When we find ourselves, we will know that the true ourself has a passion or no. What this is very clearly indicate that passion in the true self. So first criteria is not to find a passion, to first find yourself, and then first you find yourself, your passion will be available to you.
I'm going to stay with the musician though, because I mean, I found that I am good at being a musician, and this is not me, I'm talking for that person that is. I found that I'm great at music. I found that I can touch people. When I perform, they say, wow, that really touched me. That really made me feel whatever, made me feel happy or sad, or made me think about life, or made me think about my faith or my relationships. You know, your music touched me. Your performance made a difference in my life. I mean, that would seem like, okay, I'm doing something that I'm good at. I was given this skill. I'm touching people. They're loving the performance. And yes, there's ego. I mean, they're telling me I'm excellent at music, and I appreciate that. But there's more than that. I'm making a difference in those people's lives. They're feeling happy. They're feeling content. They're feeling fulfilled because they attended my show. Okay, that seems to have all the right pieces in place to be meaningful work, to add value to their lives, to add value to my life because I'm feeling fulfilled. I mean, what is missing there? And it's my passion, and it's something that I was born with special skills. You know, and again, we're talking music, but we could really apply this to being good at English or math, or being good at science, or being good at technology, or being a welder or a builder or whatever it is. If I'm doing meaningful work, why shouldn't I be rewarded, be very successful with that, and know that that's something that's going to be a career for me?
You know, interestingly, everything has a timing. If you had dinner, your stomach is full, and the best food is not going to attract you because
Right. You're full.
And if you are in pain, the best music is not going to affect you. So there is a timing for everything. So if you happen to be at a place where they are interested in listening to your music, there would be a value of that music. But until, you know, we talked about adding value, adding highest value.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, a person who senses what is required for that moment by that person, by the situation, which he can deliver. So supposing you are traveling on the road and suddenly you find a car which is stranded, and there's nobody traveling on the road. So you wanted to stop by, and you saw this older lady, and the car has a punctured tire. Now, you don't have the skill of changing tire as a mechanic would have, but you are the only person who can somehow or other, you can struggle with it, you can change the tire.
Mm-hmm.
You have added tremendous value. So ultimately, life always looking for a situation where you can add the highest value. Your skill, what you are good at, only happens to a certain situation. Doesn't matter how good you are in anything what you do, but your life demands so many other things for you to be successful. So unless you are serving the life, you are providing the service, you are adding value, all your skill, all you are good at stands on the side, right?
Well, I think we're making progress, but I'm still very confused. And I don't think we've really answered the question yet that we asked at the beginning of the show. How do we know what we're good at? We're dancing around here a little bit, but when we come back from this first break, Ratanjit, I'm going to ask the tough questions and you will stop asking me the tough questions so we can get this answer today for our wonderful listeners and our very special guest. This is Stress-Free Living. We're talking about finding what we're good at, and I still don't know how. Maybe you don't either. If you do, by chance, especially our Zoom guests, you'll have a chance to tell us in just a moment. We'll be back. Thank you. All right. We're on a quick break. Anybody here tell me what I should ask Ratanjit, because I'm not getting the answers today.
I'm giving the answer, but you're not.
I'm not listening, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
So Ray,
Doug.
oh,
Yes. Go ahead, Steve.
no, Doug, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, Ray, your example of the musicians and how great they are, and why didn't they succeed? Maybe it's one thought was, yes, they're a great musician, but not good at marketing or selling themselves. So they're kind of an unknown talent there, and so maybe that's where they lack the ability to become the star, if you will. Just a thought I had as you were talking.
Okay. Steve, go ahead.
It's funny. He just said what I wanted to say, which has to do with success is, if you help the person with the tire, you're successful in that, right? And that may not be your main raison d'etre, but, in that particular thing. So I think what he's saying is, the term success is, I think, the issue here. And you find what you're good at and you do it. And sometimes it also, as your listener just said, maybe monetarily you make the money, but if you don't have those abilities, so you do what you do and add value in the situations where you're able to add value to others.
We are back on Stress-Free Living. Thank you so much. Enjoying our conversations there during our break with some of our Zoom guests. And if you'd like to be part of that, please let us know and we'll send you that special link so you can talk with us during the breaks and after these shows. And also, if you are listening to us on the radio here locally in the Northeast Ohio area, that's great. But you can also listen to us on stream anywhere around the world on wintradio.com. All right, Ratanjit, we got some input there from our guests. And they did raise an interesting point. I am speaking of being good at something in order to be successful. Okay. That's where I was approaching this topic today. Finding what we're good at so we can have a successful life. Now, by success, I'm not necessarily saying that we're going to become a billionaire at it. I don't mean that we're going to have all kinds of fame and everybody is going to idolize us and as their hero. I'm not meaning that as success. I just mean success in terms of living a life that is fulfilling, living a life that, when I am dying at the end, I can say, okay, I've done okay. I've had fun. I've made a difference in the world. I've left a legacy of some sort for others to continue with. That's my vision of success. So want to kind of put that in, I bring up a musician, immediately people think about, having records on radio and YouTube and all these things nowadays that we're doing with it. I don't mean even that level of success. Success to me is just having a fulfilling life. Okay. So how can we, going back to my initial question, how can we find beyond the obvious? Because it isn't maybe that musical talent. It isn't maybe that I can write poetry or that I can I can calculate numbers in my head and multiply all these numbers instantaneously in my head. Those things are obvious that I should be good at those. But if those things aren't what I'm supposed to do, how am I supposed to figure out what I can do? And maybe you've already answered this and I apologize, but I didn't hear it yet.
You see, I mentioned that until you find yourself, your own self, you are not going.
But what does that mean? What does that mean, brother? What do you mean by that? Finding myself, finding that I'm part of the oneness of the world. Is that what you mean?
Yes. Ultimately, we are given this human body. We are given this brain. We are given this eyesight, all these things. So we end up living in the human body mode, and we think that we are basically the human body. Yes, this particular human body has certain things it does better than other things. So many of us mistakenly call that I do better this is my talent, this is my passion, this is what is going to make me successful. But really, once we understand who we are, the enlivening force which makes this human body alive, once I realize that force, you have a vision which is totally different. So you see the same enlivening force in everybody you come across. So suddenly, instead of just loving your loved ones, you love everyone. You love the enlivening force within you and within others. You have an incentive inside you to serve that force, and you begin to utilize not only your talent, so many things which you did not know you can do, and you end up adding value, you end up serving others, and as a consequence, you have gratitude, you have fulfillment, you feel fully satisfied, because ultimately, if you are a musician and you want to be successful, your ego is going to come in the way. When you look at a greatest musician, I have given this example many times, you are playing in a Carnegie Hall, and when you are playing the music, you become music. And that only gives you the total fame. But once you are done with playing music, you take all the credit. And that point, you are not a musician. You are basically taking the credit. Your ego takes over and you take the credit. The real you is the divine power which was playing the music. So all the greatness which is done by you end up being done, whether it's musician or any other talent, it is always done by the real you. When you become that and get rid of your ego, you are not doing that for recognition or for money or for fame. You are doing to make a difference, to save somebody's life, to add value to somebody. At that moment, you have inner satisfaction and you have total success, right?
So I'm sure there are people that are watching or listening this show that are still a little fuzzy on the accepting the oneness idea. Okay. So I personally, after all these years, have accepted it and believe it and want to live it. And probably, I'm sure there are many other people that do as well. But there's maybe some other people that are watching or listening right now that perhaps are deflated a bit to say, well, gee, if I don't buy into that spiritual idea, then I'm never going to know what I'm good at. I mean, is that really the answer, that I have to accept this? I can't figure it out otherwise. I mean, in some ways, if that's the answer, that's a really tough answer, because I don't yet want to consider this whole oneness thing. This isn't quite, what I'm buying into. So, Ratanjit, are you telling me that there's no other way for me to find that I'm good at something short of that? There's no other motivator. There's no other aspect that will help me decide short of that. And if that's the case, why? I mean, why, for all of the people that don't even know what oneness is, they haven't even heard that term, they don't understand what that means, those people will never figure out what they're good at?
See, the thing is this: supposing you take a normal example of a successful musician now, or a example of an athlete who is good at and gets 7 or 8 gold medals in something.
Okay.
Right now, he's very good at playing whatever game he plays, whether it's tennis or swimming or whatever. He or she is first at and ends up getting gold medal. So all our successes in life, whether all the gold medals in life, basically give us a platform to add higher value. So what happens if this person who has 6 or 7 gold medals, and after that he retired and he sits there, and after 3, 4, 10 years, very few people remember him. So he goes to the grocery store and nobody recognizes him. So he feels very depressed. So my goodness, I had 7 gold medals and nobody knows me.
Yeah,
And
that's very true.
that's very true. So, but if you had 1 or 2 gold medals, it gave you platform to do something in the society. You can take a mission to add value. Nobody would forget you. And remember, so ego basically is constantly looking for recognition. So life, whether it is what you do best, better than others, gives you a platform, whether that is recognized by a gold medal or a trophy, basically gives you a platform to add higher value. So if you sit on that thing, I'm good at this, ultimately you are going to be depressed. There are many great musicians end up committing suicide because of that very nature.
So let's go with that swimmer. I like that example because musicians, and it's amazing now, these guys are 70s and 80 years old and they're still performing on the stages in these rock bands. It's kind of crazy. But let's think of music. A swimmer is maybe a better thing to talk about because the swimmer, no matter how good they are naturally at that talent, no matter how hard they work, our bodies break down over time. So, you know, they have that peak period when they can win those gold medals. And then they can win some other medals after that in some other local competition, regional competition. But by the time they're in their 40s and 50s, their best is still their best in their neighborhood, but it's nowhere near what the Olympic swimmers are. Okay, so that's a good example because they're really good at swimming, but they stop being good at swimming because their body ages. All right. So the idea there for someone to be good at something in order to have a platform, and then now they can use that platform to do something else. What do they do then? How do they find what else they're good at? They no longer are capable of winning a gold medal in the International Olympics. So they have a platform. People know their name, they know their face, they respect them, they maybe even idolize them as a hero because they won 7 gold medals. What do they do then? What do they know? Oh my gosh, I can't swim anymore because I'm too old to swim. What can I do? I think that's a really good example there of trying to figure out in midlife what else we can do. And to use your example, then what would you say they should do?
So ultimately, the final mission and the final best thing we can do, what we should become the very best at doing, is adding the highest value at whatever we do. So by taking the platform, you can now create a platform to train youngsters to do better swimmers, or you can do research on swimming and understand the benefit of swimming and broadcast it to older people so they can have better health. So your focus is to add value to everyone through whatever, and you can take totally a different mission. And if your mission is to get rid of murders in our society, and you can take that mission, or you can take on changing the education system, you can take on the mission. Anything which you can decide, which you can make a difference, once you have that platform, people are there going to listen to you for a very short time, 1 year or 2 years, or after that, they're going to forget it. So until your mission is so powerful that it's going to carry you, and your mission ends up adding the highest value to society, is making a difference in so many people's life, you are never going to be forgotten.
So you just gave some really great examples. Let's take a couple of them a little further. The swimmer, now he wants to teach young kids how to swim. He wants to teach seniors how swimming is going to extend their life, help their hearts and everything else. You know, if my teacher won 7 Olympics, I'm going to listen to him. I mean, if he won 7 Olympic gold medals, I'm going to listen to him because he's earned my respect in swimming. Okay, so I see how that can play out very, very well. It's a deeper mission, deeper purpose, and he's an expert in that category, so it makes sense. On the other hand, if he's now going to become, or she's going to become, an advocate for fighting crime, okay, eliminating crime in the community, all right, and how is he good or she good at that? I mean, what is going to make them suddenly be good enough. It almost, with all respect, it almost sounds comical. It's like, okay, I've won 7 Olympic gold medals, and now I'm going to become an advocate for fighting crime. It's like, well, what does that have to do with anything? Okay, I respected you in the pool, but what do you know about fighting crime? And what makes you good enough to be able to do that?
But you get a platform to speak. Such Olympic player who has won 6 gold medals is going to speak. So you are going to go there, listen to him. And his passion about saving people's life is going to get you. And until you become passionate about doing whatever you want to do, you are not going to be able to see. There is in when we communicate, there are 3 aspects of communication: words we speak, and the tone we have, and the body language we have. You know, the total contribution made by to communication by words is less than 7%. So 39% is tone, and rest is body language. So your body language and tone never lies. So if your body language and tone is compassionate about the subject you are talking about, people are going to listen, and there is going to have an impact on them. And 7 gold medals basically gave you the platform to get an audience. And your passion is going to convey the message, right?
If I'm a really passionate baseball player, I love baseball. I know everything about it. I know how to play it. I know how, I followed all the greats and I've watched them. But if I don't have the basic athletic skills to play baseball, if I want to be a pitcher with my whole heart and soul, and I'm passionate about being a professional pitcher, but I can only pitch at 60 miles an hour, okay, I'm not going to make even the minor leagues, let alone the major leagues. Okay, so passion isn't enough. Okay, so now I have a platform. I'm a gold medalist, and I am passionate about fighting crime. Is that enough?
You know, we had who was a who traveled in space and became a senator. What was
John Glenn.
John Glenn. So what did he know about politics? How did he end up from being an astronaut to a politics? How he became a leader? Basically, he used the platform and used his passion to convince them that he can make a difference in leadership and politics. So this happens every single day, Ray. So you don't have to have expertise in a mission which you want to carry. You have to have passion. You have to have energy.
I could make a snide comment about all of our politics not only having the passion and not having the expertise, and that's the problems we're in. But I won't say that. Okay, this is Stress-Free Living, and we are discovering what we're good at. How can we figure out what we're good at? And we're kind of putting all these pieces together here about what it has to do with a platform that we can establish, if we need that or not, and passion that we have to have, or do we need that or not? We're still answering a few of these questions. We'll come back and hopefully we can wrap it all up. This is Stress-Free Living. Stay with us. All right. We apologize, Steve. I had to cut you off there because we had to go to the show. You can
No
finish,
worries.
or anybody else for a quick minute.
No worries, but I have to tell you this. I want to jump in on this real quickly. because your example was wonderful, Ratanjit. Okay, Michael Phelps won 7 or 8 medals. He then went into depression. Simone Biles was the girl who performed and ended up talking about depression and pressure. And I will tell you that both Michael Phelps and Simone Biles made more of a difference when they talked about the depression and athlete than we cared about them winning medals. The other thing I will tell you is Mark Spitz won 7 or 8 gold medals. And I met him a few years ago. He was disappointing as a human being. He was going to go to dental school, didn't go to dental school. He said to me, why should I go to dental school? I make more money signing autographs. So again, in terms of what type of person, he had a platform, and instead of using it like Simone Biles and Michael Phelps did, he was as shallow a person as you'd ever meet. So this speaks exactly to the example that Ratanjit spoke about.
Very good. Thank you. Anybody else quickly? Dr. Jagjit, Sana, Doug?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Yeah, enjoying the session. Thank you.
Thank you. Doug, anything real quick before I cut you off?
No, thanks.
Okay.
Maybe later.
All right, we'll try to bring this home. Gosh, I don't even have any help here to bring us home. I got to come through this last 8 minutes on my own. So it'd be a quick last segment, Ratanjit. And we're back. This is Stress-Free Living with Ratanjit Sandhi. Yours truly, Ray Samich. Thanks so much for being with us today as we are wrapping up this topic on finding what we're good at. And Ratanjit, I think we have covered a lot, even though we maybe have gone in different directions and try to answer this a number of different ways. But passion is part of it. Skill set is part of it, but it seems like we have to kind of engage all of it together. We have to kind of look at what we are capable of doing, or maybe who we can connect with as part of the oneness that is going to allow us to find something that we really want to do that will make a difference, that will add the highest value. And then we have to, put that together and go out in the biggest way possible to try to reach the most people. I mean, I know that sounds really complicated, but that's kind of what I'm picking up from this, is that it has to be bigger than us. If we limit ourselves just to saying, I'm good at numbers, so I'm going to teach math, we maybe are never getting a chance to be that special human being that we were created to be. We have to look for more. What do you think?
See, until your mission is to add highest value, you want to help some issue in your life. You want to educate the youngsters in a proper way. You want to give them purpose of life in a proper way. And you don't have any expertise of doing that. You can always have people with expertise. I gave the example of a CEO who has working under her people who are better qualified than her. Why she is a CEO? Because she has a mission to add collectively, to add the highest value to the customer, so that this company's product as service now adds value. There are entrepreneurs who have simply idea, and they hire people who have expertise to have them implement that idea. They become very successful. So until you have a mission, a purpose, your life does not give you the final award of full satisfaction, happiness. You can gather all the money, You can gather all the fame. You end up feeling depressed. So until you find your only purpose is to find a passion which will help me add the highest value. My passion should become adding the highest value to others. So
Is that regardless, though, of our skill set, regardless of what we're good at? I mean,
yeah,
if
skill set can be borrowed. You can hire people with skill set, but you cannot hire people with passion to add the highest value. In a big corporation, there are, of course, there are people I started a company as a chemist. So sure, it was obvious for me. But eventually, the chemists who were working for me knew more about the chemicals than I did. There are people who did better in marketing than I did. They're better salesmen than I could ever be. So why was I a CEO? Because I had the mission, I had the values. I glued all of them through these values, through this mission. They never let them get away from the mission of adding the highest value. As a consequence, the total success of the company did not come from the product or the technology. It came from its mission of adding the highest value.
What about what I said with looking for bigger things? Is that a part of it too? Do I have to go big or go home when I really want to be a fulfilling life, when I want to do and find out what I'm good at? Is it okay to do it on a small scale, or am I more apt to find out what I can do if I really think, bigger picture, if I think like changing the world, changing a big problem, or is it okay to change a little problem in my backyard?
See, ultimately, your ego stops you from thinking big because you are afraid of failures. When Mahatma Gandhi wanted to free the entire nation of India and take a fight with British Empire, which are much more stronger than them, he had this bigger vision, which are much more larger than him. So until that mission comes in you, you don't have that power. The power comes to you from the universe. The universe supports you in your mission and gets together people with talent to help you and resources to help you. Once you have a very riveting mission which is going to make a difference in humanity.
So I should go big, because if I limit my thoughts in terms of what I'm able to do, I'm the one that's limiting it, not the universe, right?
It's ego. It's ego.
Yeah. Okay.
Ego of failure, which is limiting you. I can only do so much. I have so much money. I only know so many people. But when the mission becomes bigger than you, and then automatically that mission would make a difference to the human race.
It's very, very interesting. It's such a deep concept, and you've opened the door to really think, help me and hopefully other people too, to think that what we're good at is really unlimited. It's not obvious. It's not based on what we seem to be able to do well around our house. I mean, those could be habits or music, and other things we talked about can be things we do for fun, but our purpose really is deeper and bigger and more important than that in terms of affecting the world around us. and unlimited, really, because of if we are all part of a bigger one, the world will open its resources to us. A really deep thought to have here, and hopefully we've opened some people's minds to think about this. Ratanjit, thank you for sharing your thoughts and enabling us to think about the opportunities that we have at any age.
Wonderful.
Thank you. And thank you to our Zoom guests and to all of our listeners and viewers, wherever you may be. Remember, we're all playing the same game. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.